Meghan Markle is officially in a damage control mode as she desperately tries to salvage her public reputation by telling the world that yes, oh yes, Netflix is interested in her very, very meager offerings as a creator. When we know this is probably really not true.
Now let's talk about Harry and Meghan. Meghan Markle's plans to produce a film adaptation of Carly Fortune's hit romance novel, Meet Me at the Lake. Well, that's now on ice after Netflix decided not to renew its $100 million deal with Harry and Meghan. Kinsey, this is a big blow for Meghan. This was a serious project.
Meghan Markle's media empire may finally be crumbling, and this time, there may be no graceful exit. The collapse of her high-profile Netflix deal has sent shockwaves across both the entertainment world and royal watchers alike, marking what many are calling the beginning of the end for the Duchess of Sussex's Hollywood ambitions. Once celebrated as a modern disruptor of royal tradition, Meghan is now navigating an increasingly cold and unforgiving media landscape, one that appears to be losing interest in her carefully constructed public persona. The $100 million Netflix partnership was once hailed as the centerpiece of Meghan and Prince Harry's post-royal reinvention. It was supposed to be a bold pivot into Hollywood prestige, a power play that would position them as content creators with something meaningful to say. But now, it has quietly unraveled behind the scenes. According to insider reports, Netflix has opted to end the relationship after underwhelming returns. The projects, which promised fresh, compelling storytelling, failed to generate the cultural impact or audience engagement the streaming giant expected. In a world driven by metrics, views, and cultural buzz, Meghan simply did not deliver. The reality is stark. The momentum has stalled. While the initial documentary about their royal departure garnered attention, it proved to be a one-hit wonder. Subsequent projects reportedly lacked substance, vision, or the kind of staying power needed to justify their massive investment. Netflix, never a company to indulge in sentimentality, made a business decision, and Meghan was no longer seen as a valuable asset. At the same time, her other ventures haven't fared much better. Her lifestyle brand, cleverly titled American Riviera Orchard, was framed as a pivot into wellness, elegance, and curated domestic luxury. But instead of being embraced by the public, it was met with skepticism. Critics argued that it lacked depth, authenticity, and, most damning of all, purpose. From overpriced jams to extravagant kitchen goods, the brand was accused of being little more than an aesthetic vanity project, one that leaned more heavily on royal nostalgia than genuine innovation. This growing perception that Meghan's projects are built more on celebrity than substance has created a branding crisis. Consumers today are increasingly wary of influencer culture and celebrity-led ventures that offer more gloss than grit. And Meghan's public image, already polarizing, has made it difficult for her to forge a genuine connection with her target audience. The very traits that once made her magnetic, her boldness, her ability to dominate headlines, her willingness to speak out, are now being seen as liabilities in an industry that values results over rhetoric. The setbacks extend far beyond her failed Netflix partnership and faltering lifestyle brand. Her Spotify podcast, Archetypes, which launched with fanfare and high expectations, fizzled out after a single season. While the show featured high-profile guests and promised to explore gendered stereotypes, it lacked the consistency and punch to capture long-term interest. Spotify, like Netflix, quietly walked away. Reports of behind-the-scenes production issues only reinforced the impression that Meghan might not have the creative stamina to thrive in the competitive entertainment world. Now, with multiple high-profile failures behind her, Meghan Markle finds herself at a critical crossroads. Rumors have begun to swirl that she may be eyeing more traditional platforms, perhaps even daytime television, in a bid to maintain public relevance. Speculation has linked her name to The View, though insiders suggest it's a long shot. Whether those rumors are true or not, the very idea that Meghan might pivot to daytime panel shows speaks volumes about how far her star has fallen. From the promise of global impact to possibly joining a format known more for hot takes than serious influence, the shift would be dramatic and telling. Meanwhile, Prince Harry appears to be quietly recalibrating. While Meghan continues to struggle for footing in Hollywood, Harry is reportedly focused on repairing his relationship with the royal family. Rumors of private conversations with King Charles have surfaced, along with suggestions that Harry is beginning to see the value in reconnection rather than rebellion. It's a notable shift, one that indicates the couple may no longer be aligned in their public trajectories. While Meghan doubles down on media reinvention, Harry seems to be turning inward, possibly toward the very institution they once criticized. This contrast has not gone unnoticed. For years, the Sussexes were seen as a unified front, royal defectors committed to carving out a new kind of fame on their own terms. But now, that image is splintering. With Harry quietly attempting to stabilize his position and Meghan grasping at new platforms, the gap between their individual goals is widening. Their brand, once built on boldness and disruption, is starting to look unfocused, reactive, and disjointed. To complicate matters further, Meghan's efforts to champion empowerment and authenticity have repeatedly clashed with accusations of calculated image management. Her public appearances are increasingly seen as staged, her projects as over-curated, and her messaging as hollow. Once admired for her eloquence and grace, Meghan is now facing growing backlash from both critics and former fans who feel the substance simply doesn't match the shine. Hollywood is a brutal arena, and fame is a notoriously fickle currency. Without consistent output, meaningful content, and genuine connection, even the most dazzling public figures can fade into irrelevance. Meghan Markle is discovering this truth in real time. The fanfare that once followed her every move is quieter now. Headlines are fewer. Search trends are slipping. And most importantly, the public no longer seems as invested in her journey. The same media machine that once propelled her into global stardom now appears to be moving on, and fast. Meghan's name, once a magnet for clicks, views, and speculation, no longer commands the same urgency. She is learning, perhaps the hard way, that attention is not the same as influence, and visibility does not equal longevity. Now, more than ever, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are at a defining moment in their post-royal saga. If they want to remain culturally relevant and shape their legacy outside the palace walls, the time for reinvention is now. And it must be rooted not in glitz and glamour, but in substance, consistency, and quiet credibility. Meghan will need to re-establish herself as more than a symbol. She must become a producer of meaningful work, a creator of lasting content, and a figure people trust, not just watch. The same goes for Harry. His path may lie not in another headline-making interview or documentary, but in doing the hard, often unglamorous work of building bridges and establishing long-term purpose. As public interest continues to shift and their cultural currency diminishes, the Sussexes face a crucial decision: evolve or fade.